Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. Hey, we're going to head to north central Iowa and connect with a good friend of mine, Bob Smith. Now, Bob's the owner of Big Stick Archery. Hey, Bob, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, a year went really fast, didn't it?
It did. I think it's been about a year to the date, I would think, within a week or two.
Yeah, that's amazing. And folks, Bob just became a full-time bowyer, and he's going to explain all that to you. Last time we talked, he was doing that as well as his job. Now he's gone full-time. So, Bob, what happened to make you able to go full-time making sticks and strings?
Oh, I guess it was kind of more so of either you come back full-time or you just don't come back kind of a deal with my job. Like, I really liked the part-time deal where I work a couple, 2 or 3 days a week and then do the bows after that. But apparently that was not working out for the employer as well. So she kind of just said, you either need to come back full-time or not come back at all. And that was like October 28th or something, which is obviously the worst time to ask me to come back to work full-time. The rut's next week. I'm not missing that. So guess I just quit my job and went hunting for a week. Been building bows since somehow. I have no idea how it's working out, but paying the bills one way or another here kind of, I don't know, took the plunge. Fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, and October, we're 6 months out or so. How's it going?
Somehow I've managed to make it. We've had some ups and some downs, and anytime we're kind of down in having a rough go for a couple of weeks, some good stuff will happen and right back high on the hog. So I don't know. I guess it's going as good as a self-employed guy could probably ask, I would think at this point.
Now, how long have you been crafting bows?
Oh, I would say probably like 7 years, 8 years. Because I want to say I've been doing it as like a business, legitimate LLC or whatnot for five, I believe.
So why'd you get in it?
Because I love it. I started building a few bows, and then I was interested in purchasing a different bow company from Wisconsin, RER Bows, which another fella ended up buying. So that kind of got me really thinking about it. And then I decided to kind of do my own thing as opposed to purchase another existing business. And then by that point, I was pretty much committed to the fact that I was going to sell bows, and I guess just started trying to sell them. Probably earlier than I should have, looking back. If I would have waited another couple of years and built a few more bows, it probably would have been a good idea. But I was anxious, I guess. Chomping on the bit.
Okay, so in simple terms, how do you build a bow from scratch? How do you do that?
So you need yourself a couple of boards. And I use some bamboo planks for my limb core laminations. But otherwise, it's just a couple of pretty boards that you'll cut 1.5 inch wide strips or cut into a block for your riser. And then you'll grind those to the thickness you want to hit the desired weight that you're looking for. And then you put it all into a form that will give those materials the shape of the bow. So then you epoxy all those together, cook them in an oven to cook them at a little bit higher temperature. Bring them out of that form. Like I said, that'll then have the profile of the bow. And then it's just a matter of grinding out your limbs and your handle out of that riser block that's glued in there and kind of just polishing it all up from there.
Now, what can you use for the risers?
You can do anything from domestic woods, like some nice maples or walnuts, up to the exotic stuff, it's an endless list probably, just about anything. Guys have made stuff out of like an old fence post that was at their dad's farm or whatever. Guys will stabilize it with like a resin. So basically, at this point, you can take a half-rotten piece of wood that has some cool features or has some meaning to someone. They'll fill it with glue and epoxy to make it hard enough. And you can basically make a riser out of just about anything, I would say.
What's your favorite wood to work with?
Cody is pretty nice to work with. Zirconia is pretty nice to work with. A lot of stuff either gets hard, like really a dense wood, so it's kind of hard to work, hard to sand or hard to move material, or it's got a lot of deep pores. So then when you're trying to finish When you're spraying a finish on it, those big pores are hard to get filled in so that it's smooth and it doesn't have all those little pockets in the wood grain. So something like the Bacotes and Zircotes are kind of a nice medium where they're not too hard to work with, and then they're still not porous enough that they're hard to get a nice smooth finish onto.
Now, the limbs, how do you make it 50 pounds or 45-pound pull?
Yeah, so basically, as soon as you build one, you have a really good idea what the second one's going to come out at, as long as you paid attention to what you put into the first one. So it's just basically a matter of building a 60-inch bow and you've built another one. You get an idea of what thickness of the limb, not like the width, but the thickness in between the glass, and that's what's going to give you your specific draw weight. So you'll just vary that. It might be 350 thousandths, 50-pound bow. And then if you want to go with a 45-pound bow, you would drop 10 thousandths of thickness between the two layers of glass, and then that would drop roughly 5 pounds.
How about the draw length?
Draw length is kind of different on the traditional bows. You usually see like a 50 at 28 inches or whatever, and I think some people think that you can only draw it 28 inches, but you can draw it as far as you need to draw it. The bow will just continue to add weight past 28 inches. That's just kind of the AMO way of marking them. So it's kind of a standard baseline, I guess, for anyone looking at the bows. What's really going to determine the draw length is just like the length of the bow or the amount of working limb in the bow. If you have a shorter bow, you're not going to be able to draw it as far as maybe a bow that's longer, if that makes sense. And there's a whole bunch of different like design things that will go in there so you could tweak it one way or the other. But in general, a shorter bow, you're not going to be able to draw it as much just because the limbs are shorter. And then a longer bow, you would be able to draw farther just because there's more working limb to move.
What about my draw length? Do I have to have my point at 28 inches no matter what my draw length is? So at my nose or at my corner of my
Right, yeah, no. So
mouth?
that's what they'll just use that 28 at 28 is just kind of like a standardized baseline measuring mark. So then let's say your draw length is 29 and a half. So you just draw that bow an extra inch and a half. And then if you were buying like a manufactured bow, it would still say 50 at 28. But you would know that that bow is going to gain about 3 pounds an inch past 28, we'll say. So if it's 29 and a half inches, you would then be drawing 57 pounds at 29 and a half inches.
So then my anchor point, I have to get to my consistent anchor point, wherever that is on my face, right?
Right. Yep. So it just kind of goes back to finding your own draw length and where you're comfortable anchoring at. And then with a custom bow, a guy will, if he knows his draw length, will just make that bow the weight he wants at his draw length. But I don't know. I probably made it confusing.
No, that's okay. I see a couple of bows behind it. Why don't you grab them and kind of walk us through it?
So I guess we could have been looking at these the whole time. So this here is a 60-inch bow. Got some nice kind of retro camo limbs on there. That's pretty nice. This would be some of the Bacote I talked about. It's just kind of a nice looking wood that's kind of fairly easy to work with. But then this bow is 52 at 28 inches. So that's just because it's a stock bow. So I just marked it at 28 inches for the general baseline. So let's say a guy had a 29-inch draw length. He would still be able to shoot this bow. This bow can draw that far, but it would be an extra 3 pounds. So it would be 55 at 29, or vice versa for 27. It would be 49 pounds at 27 inches. I feel like that went a little smoother on the explanation.
You're doing fine.
And then this other one here is 48 at 29. It's a little bit longer bow. Can definitely shoot a longer draw length because this one is 62 inches versus 60 inches.
And so when you put them in the press, that gets the curvature of the wood. Is that correct?
Right. Yep.
When you cook them?
Laminations. And then my form, my press has this shape in it right here. So that when I put all those laminations in there and epoxy it all together and let that epoxy cure, it will come out in this shape. So then it'll just be a square, the riser here will be all just a block and the limbs here won't be tapered or anything like that, but it'll be this shape. And then it's just a matter of cutting out your window and your grip and your limb shape, and then a whole lot of sanding. A lot of time looking at the sander.
No, you're using either a belt sander or circular sander?
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of like a belt edge sander combo. Yeah, it's just got a little belt on it that I do the majority of the work with. So, I really don't have any tools. I have a 14-inch bandsaw, I have that edge sander, and then a palm sander is really about all that I use.
Well, press the press.
And then the forms and like the oven that I cure the glue in. But as far as tools, I do not have a lot of fancy stuff. Just a couple that get all the work done for me.
Amazing. Now, do you make your own bowstrings?
I do. I pretty much do the bows. I make some nice bow socks out of some fleece to ship them in, twist up the bowstrings, make the string silencers, and I do my own shipping and billing, Bruce. I do it all. It's a one-man show. If it happens, I probably did it.
Well, good. From start to finish, I call up and say I want a 50-pound bow. My draw length's 28 inches, pretty standard.
Yeah.
And how long does it take from start to finish? But I want rosewood.
You want some rosewood? We could do rosewood. I've got a guy that can get me about any wood I need now. So assuming we're talking with the lead time, I would say it's been running about 6 months. But now since I've been full-time, like I'm whittling my list down really fast. So I'm hoping to get it closer to like a 3-month turnaround. But I would say as far as actually build time, I could build one in a week for sure. I mean, like 2 in a week is pretty comfortable just because you stagger out the different gluing times and things like that where you can't really do anything with it. I'm looking at about a week from starting to cut wood to the bow is sprayed, finished, and ready to shoot. I can get a couple of done in a week.
Wow. What about your arrows? Do you buy some of these arrows or?
Yeah, I've shot a few with like cedar arrows I've made, and it's pretty cool, but I definitely just buy carbon shafts now and make up some carbon arrows. I guess I'm kind of cheating, but I do make my own arrows, but I just buy carbon shafting.
Yeah.
You know.
What kind of broadheads do you like?
I shoot a lot of Wenzel Woodsman's. I don't know, like Gene and Barry Wenzel had some 3-blade broadhead. They had quite a bit of luck with that.
Yeah, because I'm going to shoot them this fall.
Oh, you're pretty hip.
Yeah, I was shooting G5s.
Okay.
And then Dirt Nap, I shot them. I started off with Rocky Mountain Supremes out of Minnesota. And that's what I started with. And then went to G5s, then went to Dirt Nap. And now I got some 125 iron wills. So I'm going to try them.
I can't believe you'd be disappointed with the iron wills.
No, and we kind of made a bet. Okay, I'm going to kill my elk, and then I'm going to kill 5 whitetails with the same broadhead without touching it up.
Yeah, I bet it would do it, as long as you don't...
Yeah, he seems to think it will, and we're going to put proof to the pudding.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but crazy good things about the iron wills.
Yeah, he's from Colorado, and he's been on the show a couple times. And anyway, there's a shout-out for you. Iron Will Outfitters, check them out. I know guys. I know of people that went to Africa last year and took Cape Buffalo with iron will broadheads.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I've got a buddy that I got a bow to that's going to Australia to hunt some buffalo. There's crossed here about this time next year. I'll have some hot photos of a big stick bow with a buffalo in Australia.
With a water buffalo. Wow. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bow can do it. There's no question about it. Can the hunter do it?
Yeah, for sure it can do it.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, folks, we're kind of talking about traditional archery. Why do you think traditional archery is picking up in the marketplace?
First of all, I think it probably has something to do with some trendy people kind of getting interested in it. Like, I certainly don't think that hurts. There's like the Aaron Snyder there kind of in your neck of the woods that has a huge following, is really big into traditional now. And I wouldn't even be able to guess how many people he's got interested in giving it a try. But
It's got to be 1,000.
Yeah, it has to be. I can't even guess how many. Between the first year and the second year that he's done it now, thousands, literally thousands. So that definitely helped. I think there's probably just more other younger guys that are getting more content out there that is interesting to people. Like the Push podcast puts a ton of information out and has really helped people become more proficient at it or make it less of a struggle trying to learn how to hit something. I think that's the issue with a lot of guys that do have some interest in it. They might try it, realize that it's a lot harder than they thought and don't really know what they're doing. So I feel like that really helps. Yeah, I guess that would kind of be it. I do feel like there's probably, I don't know, I do still worry about like the turnover rate. I would still feel like that about as many people that start probably quit every year just for kind of the same reason that they have a struggle. It's hard. It's not easy. It's a lot easier to have the old compound.
Or my crossbow, because I hunt with a crossbow now. I can't pull back a compound.
Right.
Can't do it.
But I think those are definitely some big contributing factors.
Yeah.
And it looks cool.
Well, it's an art form. And I had Fred Eichler on the show 6 months ago and stuff. And we talked about when he was in Fort Collins and living here. And he heard about traditional bow hunting, went out and killed 28 or 27 big game species in North America with a recurve.
Super slam.
Yep. And he did it. I think he was one of the first guys to do it.
Yeah, I believe he was. I think, no, I don't know. It was between him and Rick Dugan. I forget now that I'm on the spot.
So it's been around, but like everything, things come and go. But I just love the wood and the craftsmanship. And that's as traditional as you can get, except going out and get a piece of willow and taking some rawhide and get some, and nap some obsidian. And
right. That's further than I'm willing to go.
Yeah. If you're thinking about it, I mean, ever since they came across the land bridge, the Inuits and then all the other tribes, I mean, that's how they did it. Right here in Colorado, you can find places that they made knives and broadheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still exists today.
It's a romantic idea. People like the idea of it.
Yeah, and I think there is part of that. And it is a piece of art. I mean, it's craftsmanship, and they're all unique. They're all originals.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, when you're sanding it and stuff, you've got your pattern and everything, but everyone's a little bit different. The grain of wood is just a little bit different.
Yeah, for me particularly, I don't have a lot of CNC machines or a lot of jigs or anything. So they're awfully close, but each one is definitely a little bit different. That's nice. That's kind of cool.
And I think people like that myself.
Right.
Because if I was going to buy a bow, I wouldn't buy a bow out of a big box store or even a big archery store. I'd find a guy like you and say, hey, build me a bow. Let's make sure it fits me and I can draw it. Go from there.
Yep, I think so. So people just like watching arrows fly, Bruce. Who doesn't?
That's for sure. And at the speed, you could really watch them fly.
Yeah, you can't watch a compound arrow or a crossbow arrow.
Well, you can. You can see the end at about, I think, probably 40 some yards. You can pick up the end of it. At 50 yards, you can definitely pick up the end. 60 yards, you can start picking up the arc. Right. And 70 yards and 80 yards, you definitely pick up the arc. But 20, 30 yards,
it's just a blur.
300 feet per second. The limbs go and the arrow's there. I mean, it's just
pretty much.
It's pretty instantaneous. So, folks, we're having a fun time talking with Bob Smith at Big Stick Archery. Bob, if somebody wants to reach out and start talking, opening up the progress or the process of buying a bow from you, how would they reach out to you?
I have a website, bigstickarchery.com. My email address is bob@bigstickarchery.com. Facebook or Instagram is Big Stick Archery. So I'm pretty streamlined. If you remember Big Stick Archery, you can probably find me. If you want to shoot me a message on any of that or an email, my phone number is 641-530-1226. I feel like guys are probably intimidated to do that, but I feel like giving me a call is probably the best way, just because a lot of times it's more difficult to communicate through an email or message if a guy has quite a few questions. So giving me a call is probably the best way, but feel free to shoot me a message or an email on any of those other options either.
So what's the starting price of a bow?
A baseline bow would be colored glass, just kind of a plain Jane. I shouldn't say plain Jane, but classy. No extra fancy woods or anything like that. That would be $530 ship. And then they just kind of go up from there. Man, I haven't done the math for a while. $1,200 maybe? Somewhere
Whoa.
in there. Yeah.
$1,200 for a piece of wood?
Hey, it's probably not going to have wood in it at that point. It's probably going to be some phenolic riser that just absolutely takes me to work on it. Just so, or I've gotten to the point where now there's a lot more special ordering woods that cost significantly more than what I would put in a regular baseline bow.
Right.
That's kind of how that deal goes. I would say average price, if you're just looking for like a clean, pretty bow, probably in the middle range would be like $750-ish. $800 would probably be like a pretty average.
So it's less than a Matthews or Bowtech bow.
Right. I mean, you would really be getting a pretty tricked out model if you're getting that $1,200, which it's the exact same bow as the $500 one. It just depends on how much that guy wants to pay for the supreme one-of-a-kind, super fancy-looking wood.
Yeah, because you're the same guy building, so the same effort.
Same guy, same form, same limb course. So, I mean, they're the same. So it just depends on how important it is that it looks pretty, I guess.
Yeah, the exotic wood interest. So let's talk about last fall hunting. So you get bounced from work, and then you went hunting October 28th. So what happened? Talk to me about it.
Well, before that, I mean, let's not pretend I worked that much before. So I think I went to Nebraska for a week, got my butt handed to me again in the Sandhills. I think I'm really done with that for a while. I did get poison ivy again in the Sandhills. Every year it happens. Every time I go, winter, summer, poison ivy. It was pretty bad this time. I got like a skin infection, so it was all pussed up.
Yuck.
And of course, that was like 2 days before I left to go to Idaho elk hunting. So I was worried that I wasn't going to get to go on this elk hunt. The nurse just kind of said, there's no reason you can't go elk hunting with that leg. Put this cream on it. So I hobbled around in Idaho for 10 days with this rotten leg. Well, I killed a bull. Killed my first bull on the last day, like the last half hour of the last day.
How close was he?
20 yards. Yeah, perfect.
Typical traditional, because one thing with my crossbow, my kill range is out to 52 yards.
Sure.
And that's kind of where it is. When I was shooting a compound, I shot at a bull 40-some yards and killed them. Killed a lot of whitetails 20 to 30 yards out of the tree stand. I mean, they're right there.
Yeah. So, no, 20 yards was pretty good. That was in like north central Idaho, so you can't hardly see 20 yards anyway. If you'd have wouldn't even been able to see them. So, yeah, went like 50 yards. Well, probably went about 30 and rolled 30. So that was pretty awesome. Then we came back. I think I went to Nebraska again because I'm just too stubborn to give up, and that didn't go good.
What part? Did you go up by Valentine?
Yeah, actually, yep, right around Valentine there. So the year before that, I had seen quite a few deer in the same area. And this last year, I just couldn't hardly get on a deer to save my butt. I couldn't even hardly see one. So I'm not sure what happened. My buddy that I went with the first week hit a nice buck. Never did find the buck.
Mule deer or whitetails?
Mule deers. Pretty much all mule deer there where I was at. So that was a big flop. Like I said, killed an elk. So that's really all that matters. And then I came back and then quit my job. My dad had drawn his Iowa tag. I believe this is his third tag. He lives in Wisconsin still, where I grew up. So I think this is his third Iowa tag that he's drawn. So we had big high hopes, of course. He's always showed up and shot a deer on the first day, basically, that he comes in November. And this year did not go so well. He had killed both of his bucks out of the same tree, but you had to cross the river to get there. Of course, we had all that rain. So the river was way up. There was no crossing the river. I crossed it at one point and then thought I was going to die getting it back across the river. It was pretty terrifying. So we kind of had to branch out and look for some new spots. We couldn't really get to our usual suspects. So we kind of struggled. Did a bunch of kind of looking around, trying to find some new spots. I think I ended up seeing 3 nice bucks that I would have been happy shooting. I hit one in the shoulder and lost it. And then he seen 1 nice buck. And he hit it. We never did find it. No idea how we didn't find it. We found a few beds and then just nothing. We waited overnight. So no idea what happened there. So yeah, it did not go well with the bucks. And then the day after I lost the buck, hit him in the shoulder, I shot a doe that was probably the biggest deer I've ever shot in my life. It was a humongous doe. Somehow that didn't go real well either. I got a lung and a liver. Waited 4 hours, super cold. I could see her bedded down, couldn't tell if her head was down. Figured it must be good. Was kind of wanting to move stand locations and got down and she was no longer there. So somehow kind of tracked her and just enough, we had gotten just a little skiff of snow. So no blood, just tracked her in a little skiff of snow and found her dead a few hundred yards away. But that was the only deer I killed last year. And she was huge though, humongous.
Is that the picture you sent me?
Yes.
That is a big deer.
It's a big deer. So I gutted it out and I put it in my backpack and I carried her out in one piece.
No.
Probably not a good idea, but I did it.
Jeez. That was over 100 pounds.
Oh, yeah. I haven't weighed a lot of deer. She had to have been pushing 180 or so, I would think. Gutted out. I don't know. She was humongous. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, folks, when the podcast gets up, there'll be a picture on the episode blog at whitetailrendezvous.com, and you can see the big doe from Iowa.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the deer. I shot an elk and a humongous doe, and that was kind of my highlights for last year.
So you get some meat?
Yeah. Apparently, we eat a lot of meat. There's not a lot left.
How many kids do you have?
None. Just me and my wife.
Holy fright, man. You're talking a couple 100 pounds of meat already.
Yeah, we still got some. Then I also used a bunch of burger and elk meat to make some dehydrated meals for this coming up hunting season. So yeah. I've got a bunch kind of reinvested in this upcoming year. So we've still got some, but we have a lot less than I would have guessed at this point in the game.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Right? I thought it would never go away.
They even boned out. I mean.
Yeah, I think it was about 100, right around 200 pounds boned out.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And then, of course, you give some away. Probably give away more than you should. Everybody wants free elk meat.
No, tell me about your bow that you used to hunt with.
I shot those 2 critters with the same bow at 62 inches, about 51 pounds at my draw length. So not real heavy. I think it was a 340 spine gold tip with a 250 grain single bevel head on for both of those. I mixed it up this year. going to be going back to the Wenzel Woodmans. Had enough. I tried it out.
What weight on the broadhead?
250 grains. A lot of weight forward. So
Yeah.
I think
forward of center, FOC, right?
Yeah, quite a bit of FOC. I think it's like 21%, 22%, if I remember right. So quite a bit. Zipped right through that bowl like he wasn't even there. So worked good. I think it's about 580 grains total arrow weight. So
yeah, because I remember Rocky Mountain Supremes, they were 480-ish when I first started, and I was only shooting 60 pounds.
Yeah.
60, 65 pounds off out of my compound.
Yeah.
But I never had a problem. I mean, if I hit them in the right place, they were going to die.
That's right. That has a lot to do with it. You hit them in the right place.
And it happens. You hit one in the shoulder. Why do you think you hit them in the shoulder?
I have no idea what happened. Besides one, I was just kind of lackadaisical there last deer season. Just kind of didn't really know what I was there for. Usually you see a deer and you're like, all right, I'm going to kill this doe. If I'm killing this doe, or if this buck gives me a shot, I'm going to kill this buck, and the switch comes on. And this last year, I didn't know if I was going to fill a doe tag. I didn't know if I was looking for a big buck or just a nice buck. They were just walking around, and I better shoot. I guess they're leaving, kind of a deal. And for whatever reason, somewhere along between October and now, I started shooting left. Like 4 inches left all the time. I have no idea why. I didn't change my bow, didn't change my setup. So I don't know. It's a good question, Bruce. It's a little frustrating.
Are you shooting one arrow a day?
Oh, I'm shooting a lot more than one arrow a day. So I'm working on it. I don't know.
That's kind of interesting because you've been shooting a long time.
Yeah. No, this is we're kind of in a little hot streak. So I don't know if something got in my head there because I shot left on that buck. And so now I've just got some head thing going on or what. But yeah, I don't know. So we're working through it. Got a little struggle right now, but we're going to get.
Well, go out to 10 yards, shut your eyes.
Yeah.
Muscle memory.
Yep.
And release.
I'd like 10
I'm
yards.
serious. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, I've been working on it.
Because that's the only way when things start going crazy. I'd go 10 yard, get set up, get squared, shut my eyes, and then open my eyes when I release the arrow.
Yep. I've done quite a bit of that, done quite a bit of just up close. The worst part is the shots feel good and they just go left. Sometimes they feel good and they still go left. Other times the shot just feels awful. It's like Roy McAvoy in an unfolded lawn chair. His swing feels like an unfolded lawn chair. Apparently that my head's getting in the way somehow or another.
You better get between your ears, dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure I've just got some sort of a head problem. So that's going to be all right. Just going to kill some stuff at 8 yards. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Have them at the tip of your bow.
Yeah. That would be okay too.
At the tip of your broadhead. I had 2 bucks at 10 yards left, 10 feet last year.
Wow.
I was on the ground. Yeah, it was one of my best memories that I've ever had. 4 bucks came over the ridge and they were chasing one doe and they were just wheeling around me. And the big buck, the 10-pointer, hooked out this 8-pointer and they came right at me. I thought they were going to run into me. Because I'm on the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh, no.
Sounds pretty awesome.
I didn't yell at them, but I should have. Well, they wouldn't have run into the tree, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not. They probably would have went around the tree anyway.
Yeah, and I was tucked in. It was a dead tree hollowed out. You've seen them in the woods. And so I was basically in the tree. It was an excitement. And I guess where I'm at now is I'm there for the excitement, for the journey, and I want to get close. And if it's deer like my Iowa deer, if it's a pretty deer, if it's a nice deer, I'm just going to flat shoot it. But if it's not, I don't care if I shoot a buck or not.
Right.
It's like you said, flip the switch. The switch goes on, then it's game on, game over, and call my buddies and drag them out.
Yeah, that's how it works. When it works right. Only times I've had problems is when you're doing the whole humming. Oh, is it big enough? Oh,
yeah, I still get so juiced up that once I decided, I've had a lot of bucks around me and I just wasn't going to kill them. So it's just let's see what he does. It's ho hum. But just being there, I mean, that's exciting if you think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Just being up close and personal with deer feeding around you and stuff like that. And somehow they know that you're not going to kill them. They must.
Me too. They seem to know that, yeah.
They'll look at you. I've had does fed within 10 yards of the stand.
Mm-hmm.
Tree stand, they just come. So I got a live decoy during the rut.
Yeah, and you're always worried about moving right off the bat. Then after an hour or so, you're like, well, heck with this. So then you'll just start moving around, and apparently they just get comfortable with the surroundings and don't pay attention as much because, yeah, you can do about whatever you want once they're laying there, it seems like they just quit looking. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, folks, I hope you experienced that because it's kind of cool You think, oh man, I hope I see a deer. But once you get in the woods and know where you're hunting, these things are going to happen to you. I mean, spend enough time in the woods, they're going to happen to you. It'll make you a better hunter because you won't get buck fever and you go, hey, I've been around enough deer and yeah, okay, I'm going to shoot him. You go through your pre-shot routine and let the release go or pull the trigger or open your fingers.
Yep.
Pretty much it.
Done deal.
Yeah, right. If it was so easy, everybody would do it.
That's true.
So we talked about the bow business and let people know how to get a hold of you one more time.
BigStickArchery.com is the website. Bob@BigStickArchery.com is the email. Big Stick Archery on the Facebook or Instagram. Or like I said, again, if they're really wanting to call and ask some questions, the phone number is 641-530-1226. Glad to take any emails, messages, calls, answer any questions anybody's got.
So let's end up this segment of the show and just, I guess, share your whatever, the top 3 things that you think about when you're going bow hunting.
Yeah, it seems like I'm looking more and more for a good adventure these days. So that's probably priority number 1 is looking for some adventure. I'm also looking to see a lot of new animals, especially kind of because I'm getting into some different species. So kind of like you talked about spending time around deer and getting to do all that fun stuff and learning the animals. That's kind of another priority for me now that I'm doing all the different out-of-state stuff. Just learning different species is always super cool and trying to get close to them. And then I guess just getting close to animals is whatever animal they are is always super fun if you can just get close to some stuff. Is that 3?
That sounds good.
That's 3.
Bob Smith, thank you so much. Bob Smith, Big Stick Archery, hails from Iowa. Just a fun guy. He's a craftsman. And when you think about custom stick bows, reach out to Bob and have a chat with him. Can't go wrong. So this is Bruce Hutchin from Whitetail Rendezvous saying, hey, thanks for joining us on this chat with Big Stick Archery.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.